Sorry I took so long, Nate. You wouldn't want to know what I had to deal with just to get here.
Don't worry about it. I should be apologizing to you, as I stupidly forgot to mention that the teleportation hall for 90s is in the United Kingdom, so yeah, sorry about that. So what the heck happened in England anyway?
Trust me, Nate, you wouldn't believe me even if I told you.
Sounds like something terrible happened over there.
You have no idea. I ended up being in the middle of a war zone between a fox and a wolf, and let's just say we did what we could to help out. If it wasn't for these two, I probably would have never made it out of England alive.
Oh yes, Banjo and Kazooie are quite the heroes, but you said you were in a war zone. Who exactly were the combatants of that so-called war zone?
Well, it took place outside Twycross. It was between a fox who goes by the name Fox McCloud, and a wolf who is identified as Star Wolf.
Oh my god, Calvin, do you realize who you fought alongside with at that time? You just fought alongside one of the biggest heroes in 90s culture, the leader of Star Fox.
Is that so? I didn't even know that.
You don't know, because you're in an era beyond your own. In the 90s he is a hero that protects the galaxy, and his video games are awesome. I am a huge fan of Star Fox. Man, I wish I could have been there. It would have been exciting.
Oh, I'm sure it would have been if you were there, but just be thankful you were not. It was quite a shocker.
Oh, I have no doubt that it was.
You have no idea, Nate Asteri. It literally came out of nowhere. We weren't expecting it at all.
That reminds me. I still have to strangle both Banjo and Calvin for both being dumb and almost getting themselves killed yesterday. Oh, and I am definitely going to get you, Banjo, for using me as a battering ram on that field.
Oh, spare me the threats, Kazooie. I've used you plenty of times as a battering ram since 1998, and you never once complained, so spare us the rubbish. And take it as a woman, Christ. Anyway, I think Calvin has a lot to learn of our culture.
That's a great idea, Banjo. Let's show Calvin around, teach him about 90s technology and culture.
I just know that this will be epic.
I know how we can begin.
Really, Kazooie? How?
Introduce him to the era itself.
Of course, 1990s. Would love to meet you, Calvin. Let's go and see her now.
It's a pity that we couldn't introduce him last night properly, as we arrived here too late.
Oh, don't worry about that. You guys made quite an entrance last night showing up in the Grey Fox. Now let's enter New Age Park and say hello to 90s.
I can't believe it. I can't believe Calvin missed the funeral. 80s is not going to be happy at all.
Chloe? Is everything okay?
No, Inez. Calvin didn't show up like he promised. I'm very worried. It's not like him not to break a promise. He has never done it before.
I'm so sorry, Chloe. I can't believe Calvin would backstab you like that, and not come when he promised. He is a real piece of crap.
Easy, Inez. He didn't backstab me. He just must have lost track of time and forgot about it by accident. You and I both know he would never betray any of us.
Even if that is true, it's really selfish to miss out on honoring 7 innocent people who died in a horrible accident. You know I am right, Chloe.
Yes, Inez, it is selfish, but I have known Calvin longer than you. I know for a fact that he did not do this on purpose. Something must have happened to him.
Chloe, that is your problem. Listen to yourself. You worry too much for Calvin. He is a big boy. He can take care of himself. Besides, where is he anyway?
He went to go and see a friend of his in the 90s era.
The 90s? Are you serious, Chloe? That's the era that almost led to our destruction decades ago. It's the reason why I never got to be the older person to begin with.
Oh, for crying out loud, Inez. Stop complaining about the debacle that occurred 18 years ago. You are standing here, aren't you? And may I remind you, the disaster affected all of us. How do you think Calvin got black eyelids to begin with? He didn't draw those on his eyelids with a permanent marker, you know.
True, but I suffered the most from this. You know, I was supposed to be born before you and Calvin. I was supposed to be born on March 14, 1990, and I was, only for one short year, until 90s destroyed our genes by placing her DNA into ours in 1991, contaminating all of us, and causing 80s to destroy us, before the Lord of History can and remake every single one of us. After that, I ended up losing my title of being born in 1990, and was instead placed and reborn in 1992, the year after you and Calvin. I'm sorry, Chloe, I know you and Calvin don't like seeing me this way, but we all know this is not who I am supposed to be. I was planned by 80s to be older, not younger. 90s took away everything from me, all because she couldn't wait for our era to conclude. I hate 90s with a passion. I hope her era is soon wiped out by the Lord of History.
Inez Ortega, listen to me. You should never think that. You should never wish death upon any era, even if they did wrong. You know why?
Why? Why should I care about what happens to that whore of an era, when she contaminated 3 decades of innocent people, and almost led to our demise?
Because there are billions of innocent people on 90s Earth, who had nothing to do with what happened to us here in the 80s. Do they deserve to die, for what their mother did to us?
No.
Then you have to do what is right. You have to let go of your hate for 90s. If you don't, it will one of these days destroy you, Inez. Who cares if you were once born before us, but then got reborn after us? It doesn't matter, Inez. You are still the same girl within, and your brain is still from 1990.